So do you know what time next week's episode starts? Because that was not a finale.
How many percentage of fans are going to be like, oh boy, next week it's going to go off next week?
It's going to go crazy.
And then being told, oh, did you enjoy the finale? What do you mean? I feel like you and I have accidentally colour coordinated here, black and green.
Yes.
I didn't wear this on purpose, but now sitting down, I'm like, no, I should, because I am in mourning of Team Green.
Because they forgot about them?
Because they just forgot that they were people with feelings and emotion. Okay, we're just going to go to probably my biggest, oh, for fuck's sake moment, is Alicent riding up to Dragonstone and that whole shit. And then it feels like they, as writers, didn't even know how to write that scene, because you got Rhaena being like, why the fuck are you here? Like, absolute confusion and ridiculousness, and Alicent agreeing that her son will die. I'm like, fuck off.
She didn't say yes.
She fucking nodded. And then for next season, now that Aegon's been spirited away, we're going to have yet again another misunderstanding. You said you were going to let me chop off your son's head. No, Ray, you don't understand, please.
I kind of liked that scene in isolation. So I think the words that they were saying, the acting, the scene, because it's shot in the beautiful library. If you had just showed me that, like, I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. But as soon as it starts, I'm like, why is she there? How is she there?
I think there's some book fans like me as well who are annoyed by that scene, because assuming they follow along to what the book is, that scene happens not too far from this point in a much more logical place.
Oh, so they do meet up. Okay.
Not that exact scene, but this scene could have happened in a more logical situation and would have worked better there.
Yeah.
But instead, they put it here for whatever reason.
We know the reason. It's because you need your two main characters.
Oh, yeah, they are the main characters. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, sorry.
Just because they don't do anything in the show doesn't mean they're not the main characters. Sarah Hess wrote the episode, but the overall arc of the episode that would be like Ryan Condal's domain as the showrunner.
Yeah, the whole season
made no sense, or like was completely ineffectual and was just another reason to get them together.
In the last season, there was a trend of when Rhaena jumped out of the floor, everyone said, that's stupid, like, it's a spectacle. And then, like, who wrote this? It was fucking Sarah Hess, her and her stupid ideas. It's like, it's Ryan's stuff, or at the very least, Ryan's fumming it up. Like, the director gets a pass, Ryan gets a pass.
Everyone's to blame.
Exactly, it's a team effort. They're all following a plan.
Hopefully.
Well, it's right there. I'm really shocked at my reaction to it, because when we started this fucking 2 months ago, I was here going, the book's there, it's fine, the show's the show, don't worry about it, that's the canon version. And now I'm here actually quite annoyed.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Yeah.
I'm not watching this show going, this is terrible. I'm still like, this is pretty good, but then it's just over. And it's like, the fact it's a finale, I think, is the main thing that angered me.
It felt like episode 9 and 10 were written and they went, wah, we'll do that next season.
It's a massive trend with streaming shows. They don't seem to want to rely on the fact that you like a show to bring you back. They feel like they need a hook.
That wasn't a hook, it just stopped.
I don't think anybody watched it, but season 1 of Sweet Tooth, I was like, you know what? This show isn't too bad.
Yeah.
The kid gets kidnapped at the end, and you're like, all right, now big man's going to go in, guns are blazing, and rescue him, and you're going to be like, my triumphant ending to my season 1. Because if you don't get a season 2, which Netflix loves to not give, then you're like, cool, I still got a really cool season 1. But then he gets ready, he gears up, and they cut. And then you have to wait 2 years till you get the next season. And it's like, that's not how you do things.
And that's it. It feels like this new streaming, of just like stretching out content.
I don't know if you noticed, but we had about 100 scenes in this episode, each lasting about 2 minutes, and some even less. Whenever we cut to Rhaena, we get about 10 seconds of Rhaena, everyone's favourite character.
I was laughing the whole time with Rhaena, and at the end I laughed.
I've ruined her for you.
Picturing your reaction that she didn't even get the dragon in the end. She just found it.
I didn't watch the leak.
I saw the little clip of her finding it. I thought, oh, that must be like halfway through the episode. I expected her to rock up at Dragonstone.
Yes,
and be like,
I thought
hey,
that would be the thing. Or maybe like Damon would be on the back foot somehow, and then his daughter that he isn't proud of.
Oh yeah, because you thought there would be a battle. I knew there wasn't going to be a battle because of just where we are in the story. They make it seem like everyone's converging on Harrenhal. It's really going to kick off, and it's not quite the case.
Well, now Rhaena is going to go to King's Landing instead, or at least that's what they allude to.
As Alicent said, Aemond's going to go fly to Harrenhal in hopes to take out Damon. So if you simply just, while it's undefended, you can just roll on in, can't you?
I think the big dick move of the episode was last week's trailer for this week was the last 2-minute montage at the end of this episode for next season.
Make it seem like it's all going to kick off.
They didn't do what they told us they would do.
I scrolled through the Instagram and there was a lot of like comments of like, you can't call that a finale. Like, well, what was this?
That's title of the episode. It's going to be, this is not a finale.
Yeah, because it's not closing out this. It's like the last season was Death of Viserys and now the dance begins. Like there's your arc. There's your...
No, now the dance begins.
Yeah. But then it's like, I mean, the reason why I can't get into like this anime stuff is because whenever I watch it, I always feel like it's like, oh man, next episode's going to be awesome.
Yep. You'd hate Solo Leveling.
I feel like I've just watched 8 episodes of, it turns out we were just setting up season 3.
Yeah, we were saying like, oh, the chess pieces are getting set up. They're setting up the board. But you end up saying that every single episode. And now it's like,
you put I put trust in them. Everything is like 10 out of 10 with this show. The production design, the editing, the camera work, the acting by large is great.
The minutiae of the writing.
The minutiae of the writing is great. I feel like the acting and all this stuff comes together and almost makes up for the fact. Like I bring a lot of stuff in from the book that helps me fill in the gaps. But like I was watching this with my wife, and at the end when you see the purple beauty, you see her like, oh look, there's Daron, and my wife goes, who the fuck's Daron?
And where's Otto?
Where's Otto? Like, what was that? We'll just go for the episode.
Let's go through all 180 scenes.
Well, our first character, I mean, everyone's favourite, Tyland. I wonder how many people have sat there going, hang on, they're twins? Because they probably forgot.
They at least act very different in this one. As in, the 3 seconds we saw of Jason last episode, he was very proud, whereas this guy's like timid. He's a little bitch little brother.
Because he's the second son.
But he is...
in the triarchy in Essos. So you know the triarchy, the thing that is never really made clear what it is.
The thing they were fighting in season 1. None of these people showed up on screen. This is the first time we're seeing them this season. They've just been talking about them and mentioning them.
There's these little like crumbs of, here you go, book fans. Like we saw one of the men of the triarchy had a purple beard styled in the way
Dario Naharis?
Of Dario Naharis.
But original Dario Naharis. From the book, not the one we got on screen, and then definitely not the second one we got on screen. Both Rebel Moon actors.
That's it. He looked like book accurate Dario Naharis, which I was like, okay.
I only knew that because I've read the first book, and I remember all the photoshops of people being like, why didn't they just... And in fairness, it does look stupid as hell.
Yeah, it does. I can understand that. And there's another one later that I got excited for. I went, no, I'm not going to give you that, but we'll get to that later.
So Tyland is basically trying to get the triarchy on side.
To break the blockade that Rhaenyra has started.
Which we've never seen, but we have seen the effects of, at least, making King's Landing poor and hungry.
And Helena goes, but we didn't do this. No, but they expect us to fix it.
I didn't mind that scene. I like her just being oblivious.
Yeah, but it's also stupid, though, because then it's like, oh, how nice of Rhaenyra to look after. It's a whatever. She did this to you. Anyway, Tyland's there, and they go, oh, we're going to meet you with our ship captain, which is played by a YouTuber.
She's a YouTuber?
They've sliced the platform.
The character is a he. The actress is a trans woman.
Look like what I would assume is a woman pirate.
But then they got so confusing because they say he at the start, right?
His name is Lohar. The sailors are fiercely loyal to him.
Then the show plays on it where it's like pregnant or what kind of man are you? It's like...
It felt like that thing where it's just like, oh, it's a woman and you were expecting a man. Haha, we got you, silly audience / silly Tyland.
It's not a problem. So basically, it's they've gender flipped the character into being a woman, and then they've got a trans woman playing a woman.
It's a choice. I don't think it really changes the story, but you do get a funny line of, I want to have babies by you. And he's like, oh, you want to have sex with me? And she's like, no, I want you to fuck my wives. And he's like, oh God, how many?
Yeah.
But like, again, it's just showing him as a timid little bitch versus strong pirate captain lady. Like, it doesn't matter, but he does get a fair amount of screen time this episode. I think he gets more screen time this episode than he probably has,
the whole
in 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And all it's in aid of is he's a little bitch boy trying to get the triarchy on side.
But then he earns the...
By mud wrestling, though. It's not a cool victory.
Because I'm here with the knowing that this is a finale. So I'm like, why are we wasting our time here?
Every like 10 minutes, I'd look at the time and be like, oh, we are running out of time. Because I still thought we were having a battle until the 20-minute mark. I thought maybe we would start the battle and it would go on to this next season, but we didn't even start it.
So we have Tyland basically wins the head of the Triarchy's fleet to go and attack the Stepstones, which is where Corlys and his son are heading. Corlys finally off those fucking docks.
He's been building a ship for 8 episodes. But what we just said about Tyland, that he literally meets the Triarchy, meets the pirate captain, mud wrestles her, sweet talks her in the evening. That is over 4 scenes. That is 2 minutes a pop, spread throughout the episode for seemingly no reason.
I feel like there's probably a corkboard in their room where they're trying to figure out the timeline of where these things are, where they have to go, well, hang on, how many weeks is Rhaenyra at Dragonstone? How many weeks is Damon at Harrenhal? And then you're looking at Rhaena in the fucking Vale, where it's like...
You get 10 seconds. I agree that they're splitting up his whole adventure through one episode to convey the passage of time, but all it means is I have no time to connect to anything before I'm slammed into the next thing.
It would have been fine if this was episode 8 of 10. Wouldn't have even thought of it. I would have thought, some things are moving.
Well, this is the most forward momentum episode of the whole season so far.
In terms of macro, yeah. Turns out Rhaenyra, it's really easy to just fly to Harrenhal and see what's going on.
I don't have a problem. Yes, okay, she should have just gone herself instead of sending an emissary. That was pointless. But I don't mind dragons being the only way to fast travel, because that way you give your characters with dragons, your main characters, an ability to actually get around and do stuff. And that way you can kind of fudge things like getting from point A to point B and being like, okay, they had to do something here, but now they're back here. Because dragons would be quick. It's like, it's Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift wants to go from one town to the next town. She's like, I'll just get in my private jet. That is what owning a dragon is. Whereas everyone else has to go slowly.
Yeah.
But in this, apparently Alicent also can time travel sometimes.
They do a 300-mile trip in a ship.
Sneakily, after Aemond earlier in the episode says, don't let anybody out of the city or into the city without double checking it.
And then we have just one scene of going, Grand Maester, I need your help. I just imagine, even though it probably isn't true, and then reviewing the script going, we need to pave over this. Quick scene with Grand Maester and it'll just fix it.
They probably thought about it at the start when they thought about getting Alicent there. But yeah, they didn't think too hard. They just thought, Maester.
We'll just throw the scene in.
Let's cover out Rhaena's whole story so I can stop thinking about her.
Oh my god.
So Rhaena is split over 3 scenes and she gets 30 seconds total screen time.
And it's split over 2 episodes because this began last episode.
Well, you made the joke of, I guess the dragon was super nearby because she runs around the corner and the skeletons is there. But no, it takes her 3 or 4 days.
Sleeping in the cold.
Yeah.
If you want Rhaena to go and find a dragon that's flying about the Vale because it's done it to go get more sheep, and she's going to choose to do that, just have it be that she slips out during the night and she has the proper provisions and she does a repeat of what Aemond did back on High Tide, where he goes out, finds it, and there you go.
Because she's replacing nettles, which is literally like she feeds the sheep, which I only know about secondhand, and it sounds way more...
It's cool.
Yeah.
It'll probably be 2 fucking episodes in season 3 of her figuring out, and she'll go, the sheep, and then the second episode will be feeding the sheep, and then the third episode will be claiming it, probably. Sorry, but the stretched out bollocks they've done this season.
Yeah. Aemond got Vhagar through bravery. Like, he was like, I have nothing to lose. I'm either going to get this dragon or I'm useless. So he gets Vhagar for that. Whereas Nettles, Rhaena, could be smart and be like,
this is a wild dragon. It's never been tamed.
Yeah, it's like bravery alone won't do it. I've got to literally treat it like an animal.
It's never had because Ryan revealed that in this world anyway, the harnesses are put on them at birth and kind of like grow with them.
Oh, he revealed that? Okay, because some of our comments were saying that there's bolts through the neck and you can see them in shots, which is cool.
I don't feel like that's in the book that they are bolted in.
I like the idea. I think it would have been cool to show a baby dragon get punched through the neck and you'd be like, this is okay.
Yeah, you're right. I like that Chief Stealer seems to look like a burnt dragon, like it's patchy or
like
kind
old, fucked up.
Like a wild sort of dragon, I guess.
Yeah, so it would have been cool to just show her doing that, to give Rhaena some kind of actual arc.
Doing something.
Because I wouldn't call her not having a dragon and then running out to go get a dragon and us not seeing any of the trials and tribulations along the way. And
no one's chasing her going, where's the princess gone? It's like, are those guards on the way down just assuming she's right behind them?
It could be a comment on women are overly coddled, or like princess are overly coddled. She tries to run away to go get the dragon and they're like, no, come on, get inside.
My wife was complaining she feels like the women in here, except for Baela, are useless and don't do a good reflection of like womanly instincts or smarts or strength, that like they are all emotionally doing things. Like Rhaena has emotionally decided to go and do this, and Alicent has emotionally done this, and Rhaenyra is, in my opinion, not emotional enough considering the trauma that's happened to her. Obviously, we're 2 white dudes talking about how women are presented. The Rhaena stuff is dumb. is basically the summary there.
It could have been so much more, though.
I can see why George probably was annoyed being told, here's what we're going to do, George. We're going to put Sheepstealer in the Vale. It's going to take Rhaena for 3 episodes to get round to it because we can't have Rhaena get the dragon yet because the other people aren't where we need them to be. So instead of it just being, I don't know, she gets the dragon, goes to Dragonstone, and then she's there this episode. Hey, guess who's part of the team now? And there's maybe a bit of a Baylor's like, oh, your dragon's bigger than mine. I don't know, like something.
Give her something. I also feel like you don't have to worry anymore about, oh, if Rhaena comes, then the Blacks have too many dragons. The Blacks have so many dragons, and the Greens have 2, realistically. They've got Vhagar, and they've got Daeron's dragon that hasn't even rocked up yet.
Dreamfire, who's big, but Helena has no interest.
Yeah, who refuses? Who we may never have seen.
We see Dreamfire and Aemond in his first episode, where it's like young Aemond. He goes into the dragon pit after he's been given the pink dread. So he then goes, and that's meant to be Dreamfire, who burns.
Yep. Who is a big gal, and they say is the Conqueror's...
was a hatchling when the Conqueror ruled, so just to say just how old and big she is.
I wasn't sure whether they were trying to say it was the Conqueror's dragon's baby, like Balon's baby or something.
Just saying to emphasise that.
She old.
She's old and big.
So did she claim Dreamfire?
She had to have done. Her egg didn't hatch. Same with Aemond, so that's 2 kids who didn't have Tony, Aegon and Daeron. Their eggs hatched with them.
Okay.
So Aemond has burnt down Sharp Point, which is one of the vassals of, it's one of those Black Council guys who just sort of sit there.
Which we've never seen before and I don't care about. I was like, did he burn it or is he just looking at what the new dragons have burnt?
I thought that as well for a second.
I don't think you should be as a book reader. Like,
well, it's because...
I know, but like, that's how little they've conveyed that even people that have extra information
this is what I'm
like,
saying
what?
is that as a book reader, I get to fill things in, but I really think there's a lot of like just visual information that isn't conveyed very well. It's hard to put the sense of just how far people are sometimes because they don't do that. They can have Ulf on his first flight do 300 miles to King's Landing, then come back again.
And be completely fine.
And Aemond can somehow get on and follow them. And so it gives this an impression to people who don't know that they're really close. They're only half an hour away or something.
And a major plot point is Vhagar can't leave King's Landing because it'll leave it undefended, but keeps doing it. And they're not taking advantage because wouldn't you have a lookout and be like, if you see a fuck off huge dragon go, you go.
Yeah, I guess it's meant to be that at least at one point they didn't have enough dragons to warrant doing that.
But even with one dragon, that's what I'd be doing.
Yeah. So Aemond, I think, has been really disappointing with what they set up at the end of last season. Because in the book, Aemond is written as always an annoyed edgelord dickhead. Is how he's written in the book. We don't get more depth than that because we don't need more depth than that.
Yep.
So in this, it's Bullied Boy decides to become like his uncle, because he gets the dragon, he wants to live up to the dragon, he wants to be strong, he wants to be clever, he never wants to be bullied again. So he tries to make that eye thing his strength by putting the gemstone in it, tries to make it a fearful thing. He kills his nephew and looks quite horrified. And so they made that interesting choice. That instead of him being like, yeah, I killed my nephew, he's horrified by it. So then I was hoping this season we get a little bit at the start with the madam that he is regretful and that's kind of his thing. But then now he becomes Prince Regent. It's like fucking Dwight in The Office when he becomes the manager for 1 week. He just fully goes crazy into his regime.
I didn't think he would go crazy.
Yeah.
The way they set him up was kind of like he wears a face, but then beneath that he's still the bullied boy. And that's way more interesting than the face just kind of taking over in this episode and him being a monster. Wouldn't it be more interesting if he was the good king? But that's too bad because Aegon should actually be on there and also Rhaenyra is going to come and get it.
All I wanted was him running away and then this episode realising that for the last 10 years he's believed that I ride the mightiest dragon. When I take to the sky, everyone bows down to me and that's it. So then when he sees that someone else has got big dragons now and all of a sudden it's not just I ride, I win, that scared boy comes back out again and that he's petrified. So I wouldn't have mind just a private scene of him looking petrified or whatever, just something to say. And they kind of try and do it with him trying to grab his sister to make her come fly. And then when he has that private conversation with her where Ewan is playing it somewhat more emotional. But what I'm saying is that this is someone who felt bad that he killed his nephew, and then a month or 2 months later, because Aegon drunkenly, obviously it's years of bullying, but Aegon drunkenly mocked him in a thing. He's like, you know what? Yeah, I will actually burn you. And the book specifically points out that Aemond styles himself Prince Regent. He refuses to say King Regent or whatever. So then the book is somewhat implying that he's loyal to his brother, because this whole bullied thing isn't in the book.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it needs to be as simple as that, but if you're going to do it, do it. Don't half do it.
I feel like they've done a lot of half doing it.
Yeah.
There's so many things that they haven't done.
I don't need it spelled out to me.
Yeah.
I just need it explored a bit more.
Yes.
Because when you see Ryan Condal and everyone talk about it in the behind the scenes, and they go, "Oh yeah, it's the first time in ages," and he finally, he isn't the strongest guy again, and he feels threatened by that, and he lashes out and freaks out his mum, and it's all these emotions that Ewan has brought into the character, because obviously he's had to think about it. He's probably had discussions with the director, so they know all this stuff. But then as a viewer, you're watching it, and I think some viewers will just go, Aemond being angry Aemond again.
Yeah.
There isn't depth there, which is happening a lot with characters this season, which is why Aegon sticks out, because for some reason they've allowed Aegon to be this multifaceted character who is kind of a drunk arsehole, who has done horrible things, but then he wants to live up to the father who didn't love him and the mum who neglected him. So when you get the scene, I felt relieved when all of a sudden Aegon starts talking again, and we get a scene with him, and he's like crazy.
But he's also healed very quickly. Did they realize that as well? They're like, shit, I want to do Aegon scenes, but we've crippled him. We'll just heal him.
Laris made it clear this episode, but as a book person, I knew what he was doing. When Aemond went, hey, I reckon a dragon's been discovered, he doesn't want Aemond to know, because he wants more time to get Aegon in shape, to put his plans, because he knows that when Rhaenyra comes here, you're the thing she needs to get rid of.
And then he found out there was 3 new dragons, and he's like, okay, we got to go.
Yeah, we really got to speed up. And it's true to the book. And I'm happy with the Aegon, and he finally gets his name, the Realm's Delight, which was Rhaenyra's name when she was a child. She was the Realm's Delight.
Okay.
The one princess, Viserys' princess.
It definitely feels like there's more to go into with Aegon. But again, we didn't have time.
I'm actually even went into because in the book it's like rumoured or unsure, but full on that his cock did burst.
And that's the one thing that would ruin him the most.
Yeah, because that's it.
That was his favourite toy.
The untamable beast. I think he's my MVP of the season, in my opinion. I think he had the most compelling scenes, the most interesting character, because they allowed him to be a Game of Thrones character, a morally grey, not really sure what we're doing.
He got to morally grey, I'd say. He started off.
Yeah, he started to the point where I think they pivoted. They went too far in the first.
And if you include last season, he has had one hell of an arc.
Yeah.
It's weird. The Greens have had the best arcs.
They have.
Considering, I'll put the poll up here, but the HBO Max YouTube channel put up a poll with 53,000 votes.
And 95%
of people are on Team Black.
But then when you look on Reddit, you feel everyone's going, Aegon, he's probably my favourite character. But then also I showed that minor one of 3,000, 2.5, where the most hateful thing is the lack of agency in the 2 leads.
That's the thing. They're not meant to be our leads. I know you said that the original story, but they've made them our leads.
So the story wants to grow past them, and they're not. It's not. It's like they've anchored down the narrative.
These are the people from the posters, guys.
We get Corlys with Alan, and Alan kind of gives him, hey, fuck you, where were you, Dad? Speech.
Again, I liked that scene in isolation.
And then in the behind the scenes, no one speaks to Corlys like this. I'm like, yeah, I wish I had seen that.
If he said that an episode or 2 before Adam got the dragon, then maybe that would be why he didn't just tell Rhaenyra.
It's amazing how they haven't just spelt this out.
In this episode, Rhaenyra's point blank range. Do you know this boy with the dragon? Do you know him? And he's like,
wish I had known him more.
Someone told me he was cool. I don't know him personally though. He's definitely not my son.
It's really strange that they just don't spell it out. Maybe they think it's too obvious to spell
They're oppositely
it out.
highlighting it, but it has to come out eventually, and then what's it going to do?
But then he goes I saw you there. It's basically, it's what he's saying there. He goes, you came down in the market with your son, but now his son, now your son's died, and now you want to come get to know me? Fuck you.
We'll touch on Jace soon, but that brings me to, this is a show about bastards that refuses to be about bastards, because all of the most interesting characters are bastards, and they're suddenly trying to forefront them, because we've got Ulf's a bastard, Hugh's a bastard, Jace is a bastard, Luke was a bastard, Adam and Alan are both bastards, and it's kind of it doesn't matter where you come from, but also it is important. It just feels like they're not going in on that, and if they did that as the angle, we could have had Adam and Alan, Hugh and Ulf much more forefronted, and then you could take care of your whole small folk angle, but then you could do your whole, it doesn't matter where you come from. And Jace's story could be realizing that it doesn't matter where you come from, even though his whole thing was kind of always, it doesn't matter where I come from, I am a Targaryen.
Until the dragons
But
situation.
then, yeah, that could get questioned.
Yeah.
It just feels like they're not going in enough on anything. Like you said, they're half touching on everything, and then they're like, cool, that's good, I'll leave that. And it's also just, we get 2 minutes with everyone. I'm going to keep harping on about it, but I hate how much we jump around in this episode.
Hugh and Ulf talk like they've known each other for ages, so I was like, oh, this is like what I wanted. Like when he goes, hey, like we're hearing half the conversation when Jace walks in to see them. Ulf all of a sudden is really feeling himself. But it's been established in the lore that dragons, when a bond is made, can kind of, like the rider feels rejuvenated. Like the good King Jaehaerys had a daughter who was ill or maybe looking like they're dying, and the king will rush to bond them with a dragon, so then they strengthen up.
Right.
So I'm there going, thinking, Ulf's probably, just feeling himself, hey, I've got a dragon, I feel cool, but then they're not doing that with you.
And he was always cocky, and then suddenly last episode he was really timid, and then now he's cocky again.
Yeah, because the thing that he kind of half believed, he now knows to be true.
I think all I really wanted from Hugh was just him saying to Ray, can I bring my wife? Just mentioning his wife, or like anything about his backstory, not just like, I am here now and I have a dragon.
And once again, Ulf immediately proving Jace's point. Immediately starts acting like
they're trash, yeah.
But then he was timid whenever
Douchebag.
someone was powerful in front of him. Like when Aegon walked in, timid. When any happens, he's ultimately a coward at heart. But now that he has a dragon, he feels strong again. Which,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, you'd all feel strong. 2 days ago, I was thinking, well, what I was going to eat, and now I'm drinking wine with the queen, and I've got a dragon. So you would feel pretty good about yourself. But he's immediately proving the point of what Jace was saying, which is going to hand over the nuclear codes to whoever the fuck, and trust they're just going to follow you.
Which are they doing because that's what Ulf would have done anyway because he was a big talker? Or are they doing it so that Jace will have something to whinge at? Ulf was more of a prick in this episode than we've ever seen him. So I was like, team fuck this Ulf guy, he's a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, he's not the underdog, he's a jackass.
I know what's going to happen. So they've already planted the seeds of that in that table scene of things that will occur later in next season.
Confirmed they fight each other. Maybe, I don't know.
I did like that I make you knights, and then she goes, a knight would know better. He goes, you best make me one then.
When he was funny, he was good, but like he felt too much of a prick.
I think it's fun to have like someone speak straight English when everyone's speaking in a Shakespeare style.
Yeah.
Like, that's how the posh people speak. In here, you'd think if you were being realistic, the Targaryens would all just speak Valyrian to each other.
I guess, yeah, because there's no reason for it to be
There's
a
no
dead
reason.
language.
Yeah, exactly.
Then Rhaenyra doesn't take Jace to go see Damon.
I get the logic because she wants the big dragon, and also Jace is her heir, and she's already lost a son. But that isn't there because we haven't seen Rhaenyra. This show has really struggled on follow-up scenes. When Ned Stark is killed at the end of season 1, we get this brilliant scene where Catelyn walks through the forest of the men and finds young Robb Stark hitting the tree, like so annoyed his dad's died, and he's like, "I'll kill all of them, Mum." And we get Jon trying to leave the Night's Watch because he's heard his dad's died. And then we get to see young Brandon be told his dad has died. So we get all this, we as the audience get to grieve with the characters.
Whereas this one, we get Ray says, I'm sorry. And then Corlys is like, I named my ship after her. I'm good.
Exactly. So we get that. Oh, God. Yeah, whatever. But
what? The
like
ship?
just that. It's
The
just
name
like
of the
such a throwaway that they have to... Like, last season, she plotted a fake death, which involved killing someone in order to get her husband out the way.
Yes.
She did it with Damon. So then now in this season, it's like, why would they think I would kill a baby? I have no track record of being suspected of killing people. It's stupid.
And then at the table scene, she goes, we're going to kill all the innocents. And then everyone's like, I don't want to do that. And she's like, no, we need to. It's fine. And then she goes to Mysaria and says, we have to kill Smallfolk. I'm sad. And Mysaria's like, no, we have to kill the Smallfolk. I'm like, pick a lane.
Yeah, and it's just the lack of grieving. They had one episode where she grieved, and I guess they just thought that would be it. If we just commit a whole episode, because it's in the book that Rhaenyra is not around. So then they have that first episode is, where's Rhaenyra? She's grieving. Dad died. Only daughter dies in childbirth. Son gets killed. Husband leaves. Bereft.
She should be spiraling.
Spiraling through her tomes, finding all this stuff. No, my dad said I was the chosen one. I'm the prince that was promised. All this happened for a reason. She's going through all the tomes and realising, yes, of course. Yes, it's sad that Luke died, but it was for a reason. I have to save the realm. So then she's maniacal, maybe finds peace. I mean, Mysaria being a bit manipulative, bitch, like, exactly.
Or just Mysaria not around.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to be around
she's
either.
in the book, but yeah.
Okay.
So then when Rhaenyra, after maybe 3 or 4 episodes, Jason joined the ruling, Corlys is managing things, she comes back in and they have to bow to her and they realise that, oh, bloody hell. I'm not saying we have to go full crazy, but...
Well, isn't Targaryen kings and queens being crazy a thing?
To quote Alt Shift X, maybe incest is bad.
I don't think that's quoting Alt Shift X. That's kind of quoting history
life.
in general.
Yeah. Okay, so when these episodes leaked, someone watched it and she was saying in her video that overall it made a disservice to women because Alicent, she's more obsessed with her childhood friend / crush than the grandson she never named who died and her son who's now seriously burnt and on death's bed, maybe. She's more concerned with her bestie boo than she's her family. If you kicked my dog, I wouldn't talk to you. If I thought maybe you murdered my son...
They are still very friendly.
Because Rhaenyra and her husband have a suspected track record of devious doings.
Like everyone says it's Rhaenyra that killed Aegon's kid. It's never said that it's not on the green side.
They should have doubled down and given these characters a little bit of shit. A little bit of messiness.
It was kind of just snarky.
The honourable characters in this show, because this is history, it's not a story, it's lore. So the honourable characters in the actual story, which all this is just for, are the Starks. They're your honourable good guys who struggle when they go down south because they can't play the politic game. It's right and wrong and nothing else. So with these guys, it's like, well, shit, they're both Targaryens. They're both southern political people. The book goes with the angle of maybe Rhaenyra is a spoilt girl who daddy always loved. So even when she had bastards, dad was like, it's all good, Rhaenyra. I love you anyway. And then Alicent, the stepmother, understandably, is a bit like, well, fucking hang on a minute. I'm following the rules here. I've had children to you, and now you're still going to give this girl who clearly has done shit, because Laenor is definitely killed, and we suspect it's either Damon or Damon and Rhaenyra. Basically, they haven't given either women any dirt, any shit, anything at all.
They do bring up all that stuff about how Allie always played the good girl and did what she was expected. That's why I like this conversation. I'm like, imagine this conversation, but actually in the show.
Yeah, imagine that just being throughout it. Exactly.
That was why I thought that was so well written, because I'm like, oh, it's all the bits of these characters that I wish I could see.
I feel like that was maybe in episode 10, and they went, oh, I love that conversation so much. We're going to have to lodge it in episode 8. I know what these next 2 episodes would have been.
Yeah.
And it would have been the shot that I thought it would end on.
Oh, yeah.
With those 2 episodes, it would have ended on that, and you would have had that conversation. Because that conversation, not like that, but an Alicent and Rhaenyra conversation happens at a serious point. And now that'll happen in episode 2 or 3 of next season.
2 or 3, Jesus. And it's going to be another 8, so that's halfway through the season.
It better not be another 8. I want it to be 10. Make it cheaper. I will happily have less dragons if it means getting 10.
Story is king. So you don't need to blow your budget. Someone commented last episode that they think it'll go for 5 seasons, and I think I'm agreeing with them now.
I'm amazed that they've managed to zoom in on this bit. It's weird because season 1 is, whoa, slow down, and then season 2 is bloody hell. It's like
do
that,
something.
It's like that image. It's a well-drawn horse legs and then a well-drawn tortoise.
Yes.
And I, in part, agree with that. Like, it is still incredibly well made, largely well written in swaths. Like the micro dialogue and acting, right? Just the plotting. It's like, we need to stretch out Damon's stuff, because if Damon sorts out the Riverlands too quickly, then he's just kind of stagnant and waning. We've already discussed what we would have liked the Damon stuff to be, and I think that would have been really good right now. When finally he's got everyone on side. He's learned how to be a good ruler.
With Damon, they gave us 6 episodes of him plodding around the castle through dark corridors, having visions, which seemed like they were leading him to a nicer conclusion, as in, like, it allowed him to face his past so that he could become a more complete character. But then they decided, we haven't really done anything with this. What if we just give him a flash forward? What if we let him watch Game of Thrones supercut?
He has a very meta moment where he touches George R. Martin's forehead, because George Martin's the face in the tree, and gets to see the story of Game of Thrones. And I thought that was absolutely very meta. And then when Helena's there, really breaking the fourth wall, going, it's all just a story.
And then it cuts to her perfectly, which means she actually was talking to him, I think.
So I think it's the same when this director was directing before. We have a lot of like audio and match cuts, like with Helena talking to him, cut to Helena. Now she's here on the balcony, and you're thinking you're still in this dream space, but we're actually at night time on top of the Red Keep. So they do a lot of match cuts in this. Like, the director clearly just has a preference for it.
With the vision, I hated that. That was the worst thing they could have done, because we know how it ends. And linking things back to prophecy kind of takes away from the characters themselves, because they lose even more of their agency if they're just doing it because the story said, because a magical being says they had to.
Okay, that scene has a few weird... We see a green man briefly.
A green man?
Part children of the forest, part person, who live on, and we see it in the wide when Rhaenyra is flying over. We see the Isle of Faces. The green men only live on the Isle of Faces.
But also it's possibly just a vision because he vanishes.
Yeah. So we see book accurate, nearly book accurate, Brynden Rivers, a.k.a. Bloodraven, a.k.a. George R. Martin's Elric of Melniboné, because Elric of Melniboné is...
Oh, The Witcher.
He's incredible. I love El. Yeah, the OG Witcher, the real White Wolf. I like you, Andrew Sapkowski, but fucking give acknowledgement to Michael Moorcock. Keep that in.
Okay.
So anyway, Brynden Rivers sitting in the tree. He is the three-eyed raven from Game of Thrones who happily helps Bran learn all his visions. The guy with the blood-stained...
Yeah, but he's giving Damon these visions. That's why we see him.
Potentially.
/ because he's in Game of Thrones as an older guy.
It's really weird what they're doing, because he is now an inconsistency, a retcon even. He's really disappointing in the Game of Thrones show. In the book, Bran's like, oh man, I'm going to go learn magic from a fun wizard. So he thinks he's going to go learn with Obi-Wan Kenobi, but turns out it's this weird part tree guy who's doing the Bene Gesserit stuff, like, we need to figure out the bloodline to bring her forth Azor Ahai.
Okay.
Real crazy shit.
Yes.
Welcome to the Weirwood Network. I've been manipulating shit for ages. And that's Brynden Rivers, who's Bloodraven, he's called Bloodraven because he has a wine-stained blotch on his skin, which you see, that looks like a raven.
Oh, okay. I saw scar-faced Targaryen man in a tree.
It turns out it doesn't really look, according to Duncan Egg, because he appears in Duncan Egg, that Dunk thinks of it just being more just a wine stain and not so much a raven shape, but it goes to show the power of stories and lies.
Yeah.
He has one eye. Because it's cut out by his bastard brother Bit of Steel, because Bit of Steel and Brynden really want to shag their sister, so they have a fight over it. But that's the Blackfire Rebellions, mate. Don't worry about it.
We see Daenerys Targaryen.
No, but hang on a minute.
Oh God.
I wish he had one eye, but I guess why they didn't do it, because they didn't want people to be confused with their one-eye
I
Targaryen.
thought it was Aemond again. Future Aemond.
I think it's cool to see him there, and I wonder if that's the actor who will be portraying him in The Night of Seven Kingdoms. Because I was there going, oh, it's book accurate. Oh, and then I went, no, you're not getting me on side.
Means nothing to anybody.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
We also, so we see White Walkers.
Yes.
We see Daenerys Targaryen's dragon eggs, and then we see Daenerys Targaryen hatching them.
We see Damon as well, sort of drowning. I wonder what that's about.
Well, Aemond also gets told that he falls into the God's Eye and is never seen again.
And then since Elaine always gets things right, I'm like, fucking hell, we're just spoiling it right now, aren't we, guys?
It was more obvious than her other ones, how she's like, the crickets stop chirping. Or one eye closes, another opens. This is the most you're going to die in the God's Eye Lake, dude, if you've been paying any attention.
Then Alice, one of the first Damon and Harren, I was like, you would die in this place.
Are they banging?
No, I think she was just sitting on the bed. In the show, I think they said.
Okay, because he just didn't seem to mind.
Alice is a character who works really well in the history book. I think they've really struggled to do anything with her.
They've shown her too much, almost.
I think she just works as a character where it's just it's fun to write about someone from a distance. This mysterious woman who hung around, who maybe was a witch. I think when they've zoomed in on her and tried to give her dialogue, you've realised it actually kind of loses some of the mystique.
She has lost a lot of that mystique, when she was disappearing behind characters and we're not sure if she's there. And now, I don't know, I think they have shown her too much, but they've also done nothing with her apart from...
Just be a information spout.
Yeah, so this one vision has changed Damon's whole thing.
He got spoilt Game of Thrones and now he's on side.
Because earlier in the episode, the emissary was like, so Rhaenyra is kind of crazy, which she isn't.
Basically, they don't want to say, he goes, fucking women, am I right, boy? Just say it.
He's just
sexist.
Say it. You can do it.
If he's being sexist, let him be sexist.
And then he's like, we need a king. And Damon's like, hell yeah, I will be king. Watches Game of Thrones, says, oh, I won't be king.
Oh, yeah, because that's after that, isn't it?
Yes, he gets the vision after. So he goes to bed thinking, fuck yeah, I'm going to wake up king, baby.
What's been the point of all this then?
Yes. They could have given us one episode of Visions, and then he could have had the flash forward to Game of Thrones, and we would have got the exact same result.
Because we didn't get a attack on Harrenhal, which did happen in the books. He like him flying in, I'm claiming Harrenhal. That was more of a battle in the book.
Okay.
And then we didn't get the battles in which he defeats the Brackens, and then politically makes things work in the Riverlands.
It's like it could be budget.
It's just Damon was put on pause for a good few episodes.
When there was so much to do with him.
I am sympathetic. I know I'm annoyed, but they could have done more this season, and maybe probably should have done more. You know, there's a scene in Adaptation with Robert McKee, and he goes to Nicolas Cage's character, just wow them in the ending, and they'll forget all about it.
And they forgot to do that?
If they had episode 9 and 10, and 9 and 10 were the ba-ba-ba.
The Harrenhal thing?
The Harrenhal stuff, what Rhaenyra does pretty much next, like what Jace does, all these things that happen next. You see Jace being a bit annoyed, being like, why aren't I going? But if you had episode 9 and 10, I think we would have been sitting here a lot more positive, because I last week was saying it'll be an hour and a half and they're going to condense 3 episodes into 1. Turns out they didn't. They just made episode 8 and stopped.
Yeah, I'm pretty disappointed with this episode.
It would have been a cool episode leading into episode 9 and 10.
Because Damon watched Game of Thrones, he walks down to Rhaenyra, who's teleported to Harrenhal.
Well, flew to Harrenhal.
Yeah. It's just, she sent an emissary. She could have checked in just as quickly. She sent a dude on horseback that took
A few weeks.
like several episodes, and then she flew over in one episode, and she could have accomplished what she wanted accomplished.
She could have flew in and said, you doing as you told. And why hasn't Simon Strong just been sending slipping in the DMs earlier, going, hey, Damon's been a bit weird.
And he seemed completely on Damon's side, but now he's on Rhaenyra's side.
And he's just there for the drama, like, oh no. Like, he's always been implying that Rhaenyra's the queen, and
Yes, he has said it, but he never technically dropped the knee. It's just very out of nowhere for him to suddenly not send a raven earlier, but now he sends the raven. Because it's not like Damon wasn't dropping hints for the last 4 weeks that he's going to be king.
I get the logic of them reading the book and going, so a kid dies, the brothers died, and then Damon immediately goes to the Riverlands and sorts that out. Surely he'd have some baggage. Maybe they had an argument. Great. That actually,
I love
that
that
works.
scene.
That's great. It's a great scene. But then it's so disappointing, like where they went with that.
Because he drops the knee and says, "My queen."
And eerily somewhat similar to Matt Smith's other, where he's playing a man who wishes he was king but can't be, in The Crown.
Oh, The Crown. I haven't watched it.
Where there's like, he goes, you want me to bend the knee to you, but you're my wife. And I thought, God, this is very similar.
Is there anything we haven't mentioned?
Criston Cole's scene.
I forgot about Criston Cole because he also gets 2 minutes. How does Gwaine know that he's banging the queen?
For a second, I thought we just were seeing the second half of a scene.
We missed something. Is it so because he was sniffing?
We're meant to be, like, now it's meant to be implied because he's sniffing that. He's like, you dirty bastard. Or maybe it's just Gawaine's not an idiot and he just knows that this is what's...
But why wait till now? Because he was sniffing it. He like comes over out of nowhere.
At that scene, I was like, yeah, whatever at this point.
Like everyone in the army is watching. Because like they wouldn't hear him draw the sword.
He goes, I'll send you to the war. He goes, I'm the prime minister of the country. You're not going to send me to the... I'm the hand.
Is he the hand anymore?
Oh yeah, he's not the hand. You're right, because Aemond has claimed. There you go. So he's back to just being the head of the army, I guess.
Yeah. It was just a weird scene. They just have to remind us that he's there. And Cole's saying, oh.
He's nihilistic now because of the whole, which is fine. I like that angle.
But that happened 4 episodes ago.
But still, though, like,
Because we haven't seen him, I guess, in an episode or 2.
I think it's meant to be for him. It's just he's, as he said, you know, the dragons and men turn to dust. So it's just the horror of dragon warfare.
I like all of that, but why is it happening in my finale when the thing he's referencing happened 4 episodes ago? That's what I'm getting at here. Because, like, he came home and he's like, we won the war. Like, he knows inside he didn't win, but he at least hoped the people thought he won. But they're all like, oh, no, our dragon's dead. We are all dead. So it should have been in that episode when he was cleaning his sword with the lemon. He should have been like, that amount of nihilism, and then I probably didn't need to see him again. Is
Is it 8 episodes because of budget? Because they wanted to build more sets?
It can't be because everyone's doing it.
They wanted to manufacturally stretch this out more? Do you think it's maybe they're going, oh, it'd be really good to have a strong opening episodes in season 3?
But then how are they going to get me back? Because every streaming service is doing it, like even Doctor Who's doing it. Like a show that was 13 episodes is now 8. A show that was 10 is now 8.
Is it that they've studied, like, people drop off by 8 episodes?
But what doesn't make any sense about that to me is you're going to make me wait 2 years and you think you can keep my attention?
If this stuff was ready and loaded and back this time next year, I might be more forgiving, but we're not filming. And I'm looking forward to the Duncan Egg show because that book whoever's doing it, you do truly just need to remake that book. There is no need to do anything else.
Because it's a short story.
It's
There's
a
no
short
fat.
story. There's no fat. There's about 2 central characters.
Is it confirmed 1 season?
6 episodes, 1 season.
But they're not going to stretch it to 2?
Well, then the second season will be the second book, and the second novella. Then the third season will be the third novella. And then the 4th season will be creation, because we've run out of novellas. Because George has planned, I think, 9. We know where Dunk and Egg end up, because in the history book we were told what happens. I don't think we're going to see the completion of those novellas, let alone...
He's read 2 other books.
So I think the primary Dunk and Egg experience will eventually be that TV show, because by season 4 they're going to be going, hey, this Mandalorian Last of Us show is working really well. I think people will be confused because it's set 80 years after the dance, and they have to awkwardly not mention...
Ooh, not spoil anything.
Not talk about it, even though Joffrey fully spoils it. I guess with the scene, it's a little thing. I did like that we saw Alicent start chewing on her nail beds and stuff like she did as a... We saw Aegon do when he was on the throne. He it might have just been an actor choice, but the idea that maybe he picked up in his mum's habits of scratching, I wish that was in season 1. How good would that have been to have seen Aegon picking away at his skin because he can't live up to his parents, like Alicent couldn't quite make her dad happy.
Did you like the book reference?
What book reference?
Rhaenyra looks directly into the camera and says, Alicent, history will paint you as the villain, a cold queen who sought power and then crumbled.
And never subscribed to Bergenbeard.
That's a weird plug at the end of the video.
Sorry.
You've been saying that Alicent's a bitch in the book. She's referenced as the evil stepmother, and that's the way Rhaenyra is saying, they'll call you the evil stepmother in the history books. Wink, wink, hint, hint.
The show's in this weird thing with Bloodraven where it's trying to collide the 2 canons. And I have this pie-in-the-sky theory because in 20, 30 years they're going to go, actually, all these House of the Dragon shows, they're the new canon, and we're doing Game of Thrones again.
Well, they're doing Harry Potter again 20 years later, so yeah. So then they do the little trailer at the end. Is there anything in there that's interesting? Because we kind of talk about it.
Well, we see Tyland, obviously, they're off to the Stepstones.
Well, we talk about most of it last week because we thought that was this week.
And it's weird because I thought we didn't see where those 2 little princes were, what boats they're on. So I guess we'll just see that in episode 1 of season 3.
And we don't know what the fuck Otto is doing.
Don't know where Otto is, what he's doing.
He's in a cage.
Whatever they're doing with Otto is off book. I couldn't tell you who he could be with. Couldn't tell you.
And the way they're cutting the trailer, it doesn't really give anything away either.
I don't think they know. I'll go with that.
Ooh.
I think they've just put him in a cage and they go, we'll figure it out.
We got 2 years.
Because that is off book. Way off book. My worst reaction is Tyland at Essos gave Jamie and Dawn vibes. Sometimes, for me.
As in
season 5,
Fish
Jamie
out of
going to
water,
Dawn.
or-
Being shit.
Oh.
So both Lannisters have had pointless off-book adventures in foreign lands that are weird and shit.
We'll do a whole season wrap-up that'll go into more everybody's arcs.
And we're going to go into the book differences and just how much pages this was compared to last season, how much is fucking left. This shit's going to be 4 or 5 seasons if they keep going at this pace.
But this as a finale just wasn't.
Yeah, I agree. As a finale to a season, this was not good.
Yeah. I guess it didn't leave a bad flavor in my mouth because it's not bad, but by next week I will be like, oh, that's right, the show's over. And then in 2 years' time, I'll be like, what happened last season?
Definitely. I think overall, a disappointing finale to a fairly solid season. I say fairly solid. I'm not saying amazing. I'm saying it's a solid season of fantasy television. It's better than Wheel of Time. It's better than Rings of Power. It's better than any of the Star Wars shows. But it could have been more.